Today I want to talk about JT Tuimoloau, who has committed to the Ohio State. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, we need to talk about 2021 five-star defensive lineman JT Tuimoloau, who has committed to Ohio State. I almost said finally committed because that's been the mood here. Jokingly on Twitter when this announcement was made on Saturday, July 3rd, I asked which has more anticipation, LeBron James's decision or JT Tuimoloau's decision, and I was really just deflated by how little y'all wanted to have fun with that question. But I think leading into this, there's some inside baseball that is 100% just really fun and cool that we need to get into. But let's talk about why Ohio State is a good, if not best choice for JT Tuimoloau. I have this conversation with casuals all the time, right? They want to know why these five-star recruits don't commit to their school. And more often than not, their school is a blue blood program, the likes of Ohio State, Oklahoma, even Alabama, right? It's like, why doesn't that kid decide to go to the school that I want him to go to? Which is a stupid question on its face. But let me go at it from this direction. Today in college football, the thing that kids tell me they want most is to go to the NFL. Now, on top of that, the thing that they want even more is to go to the NFL in the first round. And on top of that, it's go to the NFL in the first round and play for championships. And on top of that, it's go to the NFL in the first round, play for championships, and play in the college football playoff. And after that, it's go to the NFL in the first round, play for championships, play in the college football playoff, and win national titles. There's only about 5 teams, 6 depending on how you feel about the Pac-12 in general, that you're going to give that to. Ohio State is right there near the top of the list. I mean, it's Alabama, right? Then it's Clemson. Then it's Ohio State. And the only reason we're saying Clemson ahead of Ohio State is Clemson claims a winning record against Ohio State and has won more championships in the last 5 years than Ohio State at the national level. Plus, we're talking about the ACC belonging to Clemson. They have won it 6 consecutive years. Oklahoma's won the Big 12 6 consecutive years. Difference is Oklahoma hasn't won a college football playoff semifinal game, and that matters, right? And when you look at particularly what Ohio State has been able to do on the defensive side of the ball and the defensive line, it's really difficult to argue with Larry Johnson Sr. about his hit rate. Freddie Roach has an argument at Alabama, but that ain't what the kid decided to do. He decided to take a look at, Chase Young came out of Ohio State. Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa came out of Ohio State. We'll see what Zach Harrison is all about. That makes a lot of sense to me. So I understand it, and I commend him for making a smart decision. I also commend him for leveraging this position, right? Which is to say that he didn't have to sign a national letter of intent in February. He has all the leverage in this situation, decided to go with grant and aid, right? Financial aid agreement. Not grant and aid, financial aid agreement. But with the financial aid agreement, the schools are bound to him. He is not bound to the schools, which means he could sign 130 of them if he wanted to. Means that wherever he commits has to follow through, right? They have to award him the money to go to school. And then we'll see about the national letter of intent, because national letters of intent are annual, right? They have to be renewed each and every year. I think a lot of people just forget that part. But also because he gets to visit, right? That was the whole point of all of this. He wanted to take official visits to see these schools before he decided to commit to them. And then the NCAA did us all a favor and allowed official visits to go on during the summer. And he took advantage. The only one that he didn't was Alabama, which made quite a bit of news, right? And canceling an official visit to Alabama, you're making a statement, right? You're saying, hey, I don't have to go there to be successful, which is wild, especially since they're coming off of 13-0, 2020 national champions, and the best recruiting class in the history of the sport. And he could have added to that and continue to get their embarrassment of riches. For Oregon, USC, Washington sucks. The Pac-12 really, really, really would have loved to win here because they would have been able to add to their coffers the number 1 and number 3 players in the 24/7 sports composite. Of course, Corey Foreman ends up at USC after initially committing to Clemson, reopening his recruitment, and then committing to play at USC. That's a big win for the Pac-12, and I want to be clear about that because I don't think that, the casuals are really acknowledging that when they say JT Tuimoloau puts Pac-12 back on the map. No, getting in the college football playoff will do that, but Corey Foreman in the recruiting has already done that. So when you talk to your casuals, remember USC is out there recruiting through the portal like nobody's business. They also could have the number one draft pick in the 2022 class in Kayvon Thibodeau at Oregon. And that's what you were missing with Oregon, right? You were missing being able to line him with Kayvon Thibodeau. At USC, it would have been Drake Jackson and Corey Foreman. At Washington, you're really trying to live off your reputation of being a good defensive team, but you lost the defensive line coach for which death row was death row, right? You also lost one half of the dynamic duo on defense in Pete Kwiatkowski to Texas, where Jimmy Lake is going to tell us all whether or not it's him or Kwiatkowski. Maybe it's both, right? Maybe they're both really great. I want to see. I would like to see it. That's the thing. So, the news, though, is, my God, the number of y'all that wanted to jump in here on this Oregon graphic was just ridiculous to me. And I tried to say this in the comments, but nobody reads the comments. They just post theirs and leave. So I'm just going to go through this. Just after the announcement was made that JT Tuimoloau was going to announce where he is committing on July 4th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a graphic made it onto 247's site with a commitment of JT Tuimoloau that a lot of people wanted to say, oh, okay, it's done. Never thought that this would be, what happens, or I think it's Oregon's to win. And I told everybody, I don't think they're that sloppy. Number one, I used to work at 247 Sports, right? Usually you make a graphic for every place the kid has said is, on the list. So if it's 5, there are 5 schools that make a graphic. And then you put that one in the trash if he doesn't come to you. But I also thought it was really cool and very smart of Eric Scopel to come out and say later on that day, that same afternoon, I'll take the heat on this one. All the final schools had graphics created for them. I prepped a JT Tuimoloau commitment story this afternoon after getting word he was making a decision on Sunday. This has been a common practice for myself and I'm sure others when top prospects are set to announce, and it is. I inserted the graphic, which again have been created for all of finalists, and saved the draft. Unbeknownst to me, that inserted the commitment graphic into the system onto Tuimoloau's profile. Now you see said graphic everywhere. I am sorry for getting folks riled up. Go ahead and rag on me at will. I'm not going to. I'm really grateful that Eric came out and did this. The last thing he wanted was for Brandon Huffman, who has been the lead reporter on this story, to get any heat, and that's a really big deal, right? It's a mistake. He admitted to making the mistake. I understand making that mistake. I would not begrudge anybody. I wouldn't want to be anybody making that mistake. And like I said, it's not the kind of thing that happens. And particularly with a recruit with this much interest, right? With this much attention. We're getting national sports talk radio hosts who are like, why doesn't the kid just make a decision? And I'm like, yo, you're on his time, right? And how many of us can say that the world will stop for any amount of time because we want to make a decision? Enjoy that, JT. Flex, dog. Now, he's gonna be on a defensive line with Jack Sawyer, Haskell Garrett, and Zach Harrison, among others. My God, that's just nasty. I'm so excited about that. I want to see that team play in the worst way. And now, of course, Ohio State plays Oregon on September 11th at the Shoe. Maybe JT makes it onto the field. We'll see how much of him we'll see. It's interesting in that Ohio State is never in a rush to put kids on the field that they don't think are ready. They're also going to put him through his paces. I think that dude's going to have his black stripe removed just like anybody else. And I would commend them for doing that. But we all know what kind of a player he is. We know how talented he is. And I'm looking forward to watching him play for the next, as the kids say, 3 to 4 years. I think he's 3 years and he's out, man. 1, he's that talented. 2, the good Lord doesn't make defensive linemen that look and move like that very often, let alone 6'5", 280-pound men that look like that and move that well. So that's that. All right. That is it for me. Deuces.